Can you hear me?
Hey everybody, it's Kirk!
Hi, Kirk!
Just wanted to take a minute to let you fine folks know where you can contact us. You can find us at Twitter at Haunted Log. You can also find us on Discord at the Haunted Log Podcasts. Our email address is btspodcast@yahoo.com. If you like what you hear, maybe think about giving us some of your hard-earned loot. You can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/housebts. Hope you guys enjoy the show! This week on It's Too Wordy... Is he dead? I think he's dead! Welcome to this week's issue of It's Too Wordy, the comic book podcast where three buddies sit around and discuss comic books from their childhood and today. I'm Kirk.
I'm Ryan. And I'm Nick.
How we doing this week, guys? Sorry, they always argue over who's gonna say it.
It makes it funnier, because we don't know who's going to say what. It's like, huh? Huh?
How we doing?
Alright.
Me.
It's Monday.
It is Monday. I didn't want to get up this morning.
Yeah.
Spent the weekend cleaning out our basement. Anyway, so on this week's episode, we will be discussing Saga #1 for Family Month, and then the Death Defying Devil #1 by Dynamite for our new comic. So let's get started with
The Devil.
the devil.
Do the devil.
All right, eat the devil. What'd you think of it?
After reading Project Superpowers and knowing who the devil is, this doesn't make any sense.
Okay.
I know nothing about the character, but Gail Simone usually takes characters that have little or no good qualities left and reinvents them. So I thought they did a decent job.
It was good.
It was good. I thought it was Daredevil.
It is Daredevil. The old Daredevil.
The old Daredevil.
No, I thought it was an interesting read, especially for a character that I've seen on comics a number of times, but never picked up.
Yeah, this is my first ever seeing the character, ever reading the character.
It looks like we all got different covers too.
Nice.
They
Yes, we
had
did.
a number of different covers for this one.
Yeah, a lot.
Yep.
It's in the back.
How many there are? There's like 12 or something like that.
There's like 7 regulars.
Yep.
And it's 7 incentive.
So
Yep.
14. Wow. A lot of covers for... I wonder how many people know who this guy is.
If you're old school.
If you're really old school.
Yeah, he's been around forever.
Yeah.
But
So, in The Death Defying Devil, it starts out with a guy, he's playing video games, and he's just telling a story about a guy who only had a 5th grade education.
Audie Murphy?
Audie Murphy trying to enlist, but he wasn't old enough, so they faked his papers. Sounds like a familiar story for World War II.
Mm-hmm. But if you ever watch the Audie Murphy story, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And he plays himself in the movie.
Does he?
Yeah. So it's really weird that he plays himself in it.
When you get a closer look at the guy, it looks like he's missing an eye, and it doesn't really show it, but he doesn't have a hand from like a certain point down.
he also is missing half a mustache.
Is he? I didn't notice the mustache.
Yeah, he is.
That was like the
Oh,
first
wow.
thing I noticed.
Okay, yeah, he can't grow hair on that part of his face, I guess.
I went through that whole book. I'm like, okay, that's got to be an error in every single page he's on. Half a mustache with the full beard.
I was just keying in on the eye and the arm. I didn't even notice the mustache. And so you turn the page, and he's talking to the devil, who is all bandaged up and looks like he's not in good shape. And then it goes to 12 hours earlier, and the language in this book caught me off guard a little bit.
Doesn't surprise me for Gail Simone. She kind of does that when she's working independent books.
Yeah, I have no problem with it. I'm not used to seeing that kind of blunt racism, or would you call it?
Oh no, it's straight up racism.
Blatant racism.
Right, yeah.
I was trying to see if it was, just me who thought that. A husband is walking her wife home.
Who? What? A husband is walking his wife home?
Yes.
Or her wife home?
Sorry.
It's one of those days, right?
It's going to be another one of those days, guys. And she's complaining that she didn't need help walking home because she's only like 2 blocks. And he's like, I miss you. I need to see you. And they get stopped by a guy who asks them for $100 if they could help his dying mom. They don't have any money, and they proceed to get jumped by a gang of white people, I guess.
Yep.
A bunch of street ruffians.
Yep.
Street ruffians. And then the devil shows up, and I like how he didn't talk and he just put 5 fingers up.
Mm-hmm.
And then he takes one guy out and he goes to 4. I liked how he did that. That was pretty sweet. The guy says, kill him, I want his eyes. And so he's fighting him, and he keeps taking him out, and he goes down 3. And then this guy in a hoodie, like poncho type thing, shows up. I guess this is Donovan. He's going to be the bad guy. And apparently he's knows more martial arts than the devil does, and proceeds to really kick his ass. And the wife and husband run into their house, and they call the cops, and this is where the blatant racism comes out. I don't even want to repeat it.
Well, you find out that the cops are dirty because the guy that wants the building
Yeah,
has basically said,
don't go there.
don't bother him.
Don't bother him, yeah. And so Roberto, who is the husband, decides he's going to go out and help the devil, but they all disappear, and he's left bleeding in the snow. So they bring him inside, and it's all the tenants from the building. There's the aging actress.
Who she thinks everybody knows who she is.
Yep, and nobody knows who she is.
She's like one of those D-list actresses.
Yeah.
You saw me in that one show. I was
That
killed
one?
in the first 30
I
seconds.
was killed 30 seconds in. Yeah.
I was the corpse in CSI. Yeah.
I actually have a friend from high school that was a corpse in CSI, and I'm like, okay, I didn't see that episode. Anyway, they're talking about, and he keeps looking and at people, and they're talking to him, and they're like, you have family, you have friends, and he's like, and he's like, okay. So they decide that he's gonna stay. Oh, let's not forget the unicorn. Let's talk about the unicorn first.
Mika
the unicorn, who is gonna kiss his boo-boo, his owies, and make it better. Okay. The street ruffians show back up, and they want one of the women. They don't care which one, but they want to do some dirty deeds to him. And the devil shows up at the door, and the guy's like, oh, you're gonna let me in? You know, that's so nice of you. And he slams the door on his hand and breaks all of his fingers. He's like, oh, my beautiful fingers. I'm like, oh, God, that's so corny. And he ends the issue. The guy says, what am I supposed to tell Mr. Donovan? Tell him there's a new tenant, and tell him to come find me.
Now, if I read right on the history of this guy, he was originally a mute. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah, he had his tongue burned out.
So I was kind of expecting that. So I hope they kind of keep the character where he doesn't talk a ton, has a few moments, and goes that route.
Yeah.
With the crazy thing in Project Superpowers, when like little girl making up to this guy, you want him on your side, because at the end of Project Superpowers, you find out that he's not just using the name the devil; he's actually the devil.
He's actually the devil.
So in this, it's like, okay, he got beat up. How? Right? Like,
Yeah.
Maybe they only activate when he gets kissed by a
little
unicorn.
Kid. Yep. Like, that kid just sold her soul to me. All right, sweet.
Nice. So, what do we think?
For my first time reading this character, I really enjoyed it. It helps that Gail Simone wrote it. I was a little more open to it because I know she's going to develop it.
Yeah, I recognized the writer when I looked down. I'm like, oh, okay, I know who she is.
Because I'm not a Red Sonja fan, and I loved her run on Red Sonja. She did Secret Six. So she's got some stuff underneath her that she just does a fantastic job on. And so I was excited about seeing that she wrote this. And, honestly, I'd probably give it a 4.
Okay. I really liked the art. It was nice. It didn't. You weren't misled by the cover, because
No.
the covers we all got are pretty awesome. And then you look in, and it's not shabby. It's pretty good. I've never heard of this character. I'd heard of Gail Simone, but I'd never read anything by Gail Simone. I'll give it a 4. Kept me interested all the way through. I didn't go, oh my god, is this book over yet?
Like, I was reading some books and I was like, is this over? Tell
Yeah.
me it's over. No, it's got 20 more pages left.
Yeah,
I'm like,
there's
"God
some
damn."
of them that are like that. I was like, oh my god, come on.
This one's hard for me because I'm not sure where she's going with this character.
Are you old school?
Well, I like the one that I really like Project Superpowers.
Okay.
And this is a total different take on him. He didn't talk through the entire thing. So seeing him talk is a little weird. Seeing him get beat up is a little weird. I give it 3.5.
Okay.
Now, to that point, with our D-list characters, there is a little piece that I'm going to bring up that may clarify a little bit of that.
I'm sure she's doing it from a different character than the one that was in Project Superpowers. Or she's bringing back one of the other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he is the basis for Marvel's Daredevil. And what's cool, like, old issues of Daredevil were drawn by Jack Cole, who did Plastic Man.
Ooh.
So if you can find any, I have one issue, and that's the last. Daredevil, the storyline kept going, but he wasn't in the book. The Newsboy Legion, or whatever they're called, took over after that.
The little wise guys.
Little wise guys. They took over the book, but it was still called Daredevil.
Mm-hmm.
And I have that issue where they took over, and I'm like, I didn't want this. How much did I pay for this? And he's not even in it.
All right, now we're going to move on to Family Month with Saga. It was a little weird for me.
The first issue was a little odd, but if you like anything with Brian K. Vaughan writing it, he always starts off that way, and then it kind of builds into this massive world, and it's absolutely amazing.
Okay.
So, I guess I'm covering this one.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Just do a synopsis of it, because it's going to be a
It's
really...
just
All right. So the first issue is from the point of view of this couple's baby named Hazel, and it's recalling the story of her parents' beginning. And the wife's name is Alana, and the husband's name's Marco. And it starts off with Alana giving birth to Hazel. And they happen to be deserters from their given battalions or war groups, because there are two different species. So a little Romeo and Juliet thing going on there. As they're giving birth, or she's giving birth, some soldiers show up, along with Baron Robot the 23rd, which is a guy with a TV on his head.
yeah. There's a great scene in there.
I know which scene you're talking
Yeah.
about. I think.
I'm like, wow, two TVs going at it, huh?
Well, we can skip to that part, past that part now. And they're coming to get him because they deserted the military. And then there's Prince Robot the fourth, who happens to be having intercourse with another robot, and a bleep comes up on their screen, and he's like, "Yeah, forget it." And
It's not just a quick scene either. It's like
no,
2 full pages.
yeah.
It's just like, good God.
He's informed that most of the cross-species babies will die within a few weeks, so that would qualify Hazel because it's cross-species, and that the king has requested he head out in dispatch of these deserters, and so he's going to try to do a sneak attack. In the meantime, Marco and Alana are running away. They're going through the sewers to escape, and she brought her weapon, something called Heartbreaker, for protection. And Marco's furious that she brought a weapon around their baby. Get over it. You're trying to protect yourselves.
It was like the noisy cricket.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not lethal, but it hurts like a
It
son
hurts
of
like a bitch.
Now, probably the most popular character that comes out of Saga is Lion Cat. So, Lion Cat is the sidekick to a character named The Will. That is the correct name, The Will. To go out and kill Marco. And Lion Cat can tell when somebody's lying. So when somebody's lying,
Oh yeah, I
the
remember
cat
that
says
Yeah.
lying. That's
Yep.
And for whatever reason, it got really popular. Cool thing, I guess. They also hired another freelancer to go after Marco to give him an incentive to move faster. She also gives him implicit instructions to not harm the child and return the offspring home to her. And then Marco ends up warning Alana that they need to be moving, as the horrors will come out. They arrive to a bridge where the war rages, and Alana is frustrated that they'll never escape the war. Marco kisses her to calm down, and the horrors are watching them from a distance. So that is the end of issue 1. Now, I will say this. Issue 1 is kind of a tough buy right now. I think it's running around to the $50 mark. At one point, it was up to $125. But the trades are readily available, and this is really worth the read. What's the artist's name? Fiona. I have Fiona Apple in my head, but that's criminal.
Ooh, ba-doom.
Is it Fiona Staples?
Sounds about right, yeah.
Yeah. Her artwork is absolutely amazing through this book. And what's really cool is Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples have agreed to do this book all the way to the end. And one of the other cool things Brian K. Vaughan does is he does a story arc, and then they take off a few months and come back and do the next story arc. And you're starting to see a lot of the Image titles start doing that. They'll do a big story arc, they'll take off a few months, in some cases a year, and come back and just pick up the story as it goes, as opposed to trying to meet a monthly deadline and the quality goes down because of the rush to try to get out on a monthly basis. So what did you guys think of this?
It was different for me from what I've read. I liked the premise of the story. The artwork was really good. I'll give it a 4.
I'm going to be a downer. I didn't like it at all.
No?
I might have to read more of it because I really liked Why the Last Man. And Why the Last Man started out slow too.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I'll just need to keep reading it.
Was that the one where you said, is this over yet?
No.
That was for me.
That was Curse of the White Knight. I'm like, is this over yet?
I did that with Saga. I was like, oh my god, I still got this much to read.
It was a long first issue.
Yeah,
it was really long. Maybe I just need to give it more chance, because
the first couple of story arcs are really, really good. They introduce some additional characters. There's a ghost that babysits Hazel, which is pretty entertaining. Alana's mother shows up, so Marco's got to deal with the mother-in-law thing, and they nail that perfectly. No offense to all the mother-in-laws out there listening. Yeah, it's definitely worth checking out. I mean, to me, it's probably a 4. When I first read it, I would have said it was a 5. At this point, though, after reading it for a while, it's down to about a 4 for me.
Cool.
Okay.
What do we got for the Wordy Files this week? You came up with the name, buddy.
We should call it D-Wordy Files.
D-Wordy Files. There we go. We'll call it D-Wordy Files.
All right. So this week we have the Little Wise Guys from The Devil. The first 4 originally appeared in Daredevil Comics 13 in 1942. They consisted of Scarecrow, Pee-wee, Jock, and Meatball. They were orphans or runaways, and they just started hanging around with the devil. Meatball dies 2 issues later. So in issue 15, Meatball died. And Curly was added. I have a feeling the Three Stooges were an influence there, because he is a bald... Yeah. They took over the Daredevil book, issue 70, and Daredevil no longer made any appearances. There was a couple of issues before that where Daredevil would introduce the story, but then it was all about the Wise Guys, or the Little Wise Guys. And the run ended at issue 134 in 1956. In 2009, Daredevil and the Little Wise Guys became supporting characters in Savage Dragon.
Yes, they did. For a long time.
For a long time, yeah. And then Curly was also brought back in Dynamite's mini Death Defying Devil as a character named Dragon. Also in 2009, Curly was an old man and he was watching television and saw somebody was running around as Devil. And he knew it was not the devil, so he made it his mission. And the devil gave him one of his boomerangs at one point, and he made it his mission to go out and to correct Devil's name and go after the character that is running around as Devil. But that's really all they have on it. That was off of a Wikipedia page. It sounded like interesting characters. I may have to check a little more out of them.
It's very Newsboy Legion.
Yeah.
If you ever read,
I kind of picked that up.
Yeah.
I think
they're more interesting than Newsboy Legion.
Yeah. Was that the group that was kicked around with Olsen all the time?
Yes.
Yeah. Good.
And the
They
Guardian.
didn't sing, did they?
No.
Okay. Not one for musicals.
We represent the Lollipop Guild.
So that's what we had for
D-Wordy Files.
D-Wordy Files.
All right, so we're going to go into random reads.
Absolutely.
I can go first because mine are kind of long. I'm going to just do a brief synopsis.
5 minutes each.
I'm just going to do a brief synopsis of Absolute Carnage.
Can you do a brief synopsis of that 60-page giant?
No, We can talk about it though if you want.
At least it's only 60, not the 80-page giants.
Yeah.
We can talk about it. What did you think?
I wasn't excited for this. I was
Neither
like,
was
oh
I.
Crap, another stupid Carnage story.
So was I.
Who wrote it?
Donnie
Donnie
Cates.
Cates.
Okay.
Thank you, Donnie Cates, for bringing back my love for Carnage.
Yep.
You son of a
You
bitch.
asshole.
He does that with a lot of characters.
now
that-
I'm freaking hooked. You jackass.
It is so good.
It is.
It is so good. The art is great, and the storyline gets you hooked right
Yep.
away. And, for being bombarded with Carnage and Venom for the last 20 years,
Yeah.
it's like,
I
thank you for making it
yeah.
good. Thank you.
And I like the dynamic of Eddie Brock not being able to tell his son, not wanting to tell his son that he's, his dad, and because he doesn't want to ruin his life. And Spider-Man was a little hokey to me in this.
But what's funny is like when you read it, and you can see the inflections that Peter has in his voice, and you can hear it in your head, like he's just making fun of him so bad. And then, then he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What's this kid doing here?"
Yep. Eddie Brock asks Spider-Man for help because he can't defeat Carnage on his own because Carnage has begun. He has attained God level, and so he enlists Peter Parker to help him. And Peter Parker says that we have to go rescue Norman Osborn.
They need to extract
Norman Osborn from the prison that he's in.
Yeah, there's a thing that all the Venoms leave behind.
Yeah, all the suit leaves behind a codex in the user's system.
Something like they can all talk to each other using the codex.
Yep.
Yeah, there's something like that with Kate's version of Venom, where these like ancient Venoms or something like that.
Yeah, so
communicate that
so
way.
they need to extract it from all the people who've had it.
Because what's funny is they go to Norman because they want to experiment on him.
Yep.
So, so there's a guy that Venom goes to meet who has a machine already built that will extract that codex.
It's I can't remember his name.
Reed Richards
It's the evil Reed Richards from the alternate universe.
from the Ultimate Universe.
Ultimate
Reed Richards
Universe.
is in this, and
the guy that created the whole zombie apocalypse
wants this thing out of him, but he's not telling them why he wants it. That's for later.
Yeah.
I'll tell you later why I want this, but just go get it for me. And they do.
And they do. They go and get Norman Osborn. Or they try to anyway.
They try to.
Are they aware that this is not the normal Reed Richards?
He does say that.
Spider-Man, he tells Spider-Man that I'm not the Reed Richards you know. That he's from an alternate universe. Because Spider-Man's trying to buddy up to him, because hey, I look up to Reed Richards, and he's like, no, I'm not that Reed Richards. So they get to the prison, and before they can extract Norman, Carnage attacks again. They think that he's trying to kill everybody that's had the suit, the Venom suit, the Venom symbiote. Come to find out, he doesn't want to kill him. He wants to merge with him, and he merges with Norman Osborn at the end.
The crazy thing about Norman Osborn in this is he got the Carnage suit for a while.
He was the Red Goblin. Yep.
So he's got Cletus Cassidy in his head. So he's a murdering psycho.
Yep.
That's what I was trying to remember, because I knew he was a Red Goblin.
And it's because of the Carnage suit, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Don't worry. The Red Goblin will come back soon.
He's got a story coming out soon.
Yep.
I'm just going to be ecstatic with you guys covering this for me so I don't have to read it.
And that's where we end it, right? Is Carnage takes over.
Yep.
Norman Osborn.
Giant skeletal death-looking Carnage.
Yep. Ryan Stegman is a phenomenal artist. These two are awesome together. Cates and Stegman are awesome.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say I think this might be what we're seeing right now is Marvel's resurgence.
That's what I've been thinking.
Because, okay, they're relaunching stuff that is really, really good.
There's stuff... I haven't been excited for Marvel stuff in a long time. And now, with Cates and Hickman, those guys being on two big books, I know Ryan's not excited about it, because then we'll have to cover more Marvel.
Hey, if it's good, I'm going to read it.
That is good. I found it... I was like, oh man, it's $8. And I thought it was going to be filled with ads. Like filler. And I counted how many, and there's like 5 ads throughout 60 pages of books. So I was like, I was telling Ryan before you came down, this feels like a trade paperback. because
Yeah.
it's 60 pages, and it took me a long time to read. And I'm like, if they keep going with this amount of actual dialogue and story,
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna hook me.
Yeah.
I'm excited. So I give that book a 5.
Spider-Man costume looks amazing.
Yeah, doesn't it? The eyes are really expressionate. Like you can
Yeah.
just read what he's thinking.
Yeah, when he's talking to Eddie and his eyes are like, "Oh, Eddie, come on, you gotta tell him," and he's like, "Oh."
Yep.
His eyes are like down and sad. I give it a 5.
Yeah.
I highly recommend everybody read it. Yeah, it's a steep price to pay for it, but you get your money's worth out of it.
It's really not. I mean, they took a year to do this.
Yep, they've been building this for a long time.
So, yeah. And it talks about Noel a little bit in there.
Yep.
About that he's a prisoner on that planet.
Yeah.
Of symbiotes.
Yep. Another reason I like Donny Cates is he was going to a con, and the airports that he was stopping in, he would put autographed copies of Absolute Carnage somewhere in
Did
the
he
airport.
really do it?
Yeah, he did it.
Okay.
He put it
I
somewhere.
know he was joking about it. But I
No,
didn't
he
know
really
actually
did it. He put autographed copies of Absolute Carnage in the airports that he was laid over in.
Hopefully not in the bookstore.
I think he left one on a magazine rack.
Somebody got charged for that then.
Yeah.
We don't have this. Just charge it anyway.
I think he was joking, but I saw a picture and it was in a magazine stand. But I'm really enjoying Marvel right now because we got Silver Surfer Black going on, which redeemed itself for Nick last issue. We got House of X, Powers of 10, rebuilding the X-Men universe. I'm just excited every week for new books to come out now.
I could see maybe a resurgence on this. I don't think they're not bringing in new creators because these guys have been there. They're just Marvel's actually letting them do what they want to do. And I think they got their fingers out of the pot. They've got some movies down the pipe, but they got through all the movies that they wanted to get through.
Yep.
They don't have to base the character off of a movie anytime soon.
And they're taking breaks. They're taking a break, like you said, so
I can see how it would be viewed that way, but like Invisible Woman, Mark Waid, been around for ages. Katz has been around for the last couple of years and just finally got hot. Hickman's been around for ages.
yeah.
I mean, so all these guys have been around. They're just finally getting to. They were released in the kitchen and said, "Bake. I don't care what you make, but bake."
Yep.
And you're seeing that that's working for them.
My favorite, which I'm going to go into now, has been the reboot of the X-Men because they've been needing it for like the last 10 years. There's been a couple good stories, but they needed some love and care because everything was about the Avengers and they wanted to get rid of the X-Men and there is no mutants, there are only Inhumans. And then they get the rights back and all of a sudden, hey, there's mutants again. So my next random read is House of X #2. I got the little cartoony, which is odd for me because I don't normally get these kind of books.
Scotty Young?
Yep. And it's got Cyclops on the cover and it says, what should I go with today, 90s or early 2000s? And then it's Jean Grey and she says, superhero fashion rule number 17. When in doubt, go with pouches.
Lee Field reference or Liefeld reference?
And Lee, because he had the
pouches
on.
Liefeld created a character called Pouches.
Yeah.
And it was just a bunch of pouches.
Yeah. So you start out and it says, if you can find it in you to survive, if you are worthy, then I will make you into something more than them. Something eternal. Apocalypse. Begins by telling the story of Moira McTaggart, who is not going by Moira McTaggart. She's going by her maiden name, which I can't seem to find at the moment, because they don't tell you that. I heard that in a video. Growing up, I always thought Moira was just a normal human, geneticist. Jonathan Hickman's like, nope, we're going to make her into a mutant. Okay, what's her mutant power? Her power is reincarnation. So she dies, and she comes alive in the womb with all the knowledge from her previous life.
But it's weird because it goes back to her original birth.
Yep.
Like she goes back into her mom's womb.
Yep.
At that time.
Yeah, she goes back into her mom's womb and gets reborn.
It's like Groundhog's Day. So
except she gets to live it her entire life instead of just one day.
So if you were Bill Murray.
So she's, I'm assuming, old throughout the book. right? Because if she's going back to the original mother's womb for rebirth or whatever you want to call it, she's going to be the same age as she is now, so she's old because it's not a rebirth in the current year, it's a rebirth at the original
Date of her birth.
date of her birth.
Mm-hmm.
So she's a baby. She has to go through being a baby and a child and all of that.
So she would be extremely rich because she could bet on the ponies.
That too.
You'd think so.
You'd think so, but she has to play dumb. Like, she already knows how to read. She already knows how to write. She already knows how to walk. But she's got to play it off, and she can only go to a certain degree so they don't think there's something wrong with her.
Is she able to talk the second she comes out of the womb?
Yes, but she doesn't.
Okay.
Because she doesn't want her parents to know that she's a mutant.
But that doesn't make any sense.
No.
Okay? Because her mutant abilities don't show up until she's in her teens.
Yep.
So this is the problem I had. So wouldn't her memories come back when she's like 13? When her mutant ability kicks in?
Don't question God Hickman.
I'm going to question him because that made no sense.
This one was a little hard to follow. I'm not going to lie.
So she has 11 lives, right?
Yeah, she only gets 11 lives. Well, here's
So
the
she's
thing.
a cat.
So here's the thing. She's born. She goes through. She wants to find Charles Xavier, right? So she finds Charles Xavier, and she thinks he's a messianic,
He's a real prick.
real prick.
Yeah.
In her first time meeting him.
Is this pre-wheelchair or...
Yes.
Okay.
So she comes up with a serum that cures mutation. Okay? She's visited by Mystique and Destiny basically tells her, no matter what you do, you'll end up being dead anyway. I will kill you every single time you come back to life. And this is where she tells her that it's not an infinite amount of lives, it's just you have 11.
Okay, so who's this Destiny character?
She's a clairvoyant, she can see in the future.
Okay.
She basically tells her, I'm going to kill you, but when you come back for your next life, you can't create the serum and wipe us out. I will kill you, and if you try to kill me, I'll see it coming and I'll kill you. So she comes back in her next life. Oh, Pyro fries her.
Yeah, he does.
He lights the bitch on fire.
And she's like, remember how this feels.
Yeah, remember how this feels, and he sets her on fire. She comes back, she grows up, she meets Xavier, they fall in love, they create the X-Men together, the Sentinels attack and wipe everybody out.
So
She
there's
dies.
2 lives.
She dies. This is her 4th life. Yeah.
Yes.
She comes back and becomes a master assassin. She becomes a sniper, and she takes out all of the Trax, the Trask's family.
Who's
So-
that?
The creator of the Sentinels.
Okay.
The only problem with that is, just because you kill the people who came up with it doesn't mean that somebody else wouldn't come up with it.
Right. They just did it first.
Yep, the Sentinels attack, kill everyone. So she comes back again, or she aligns herself. Hold on. She aligns herself with Magneto. This isn't another life, is it?
No, the same life.
This is the same life. She aligns herself with Magneto, tells him what she knows. He goes nuts and starts attacking, trying to kill every mutant on the planet. The Avengers help, but everybody's wiped out again by Sentinels. Her 5th life, she goes, screw it. I've tried to cure it. I've tried to coexist, and we keep dying. So she decides to try survival of the fittest, and she joins Apocalypse. They kill it. They start killing everybody. She dies. Comes back to life. And this is the whole preview, the little thing where it shows Professor X and then Moira, and he's like, oh. She meets him in the park, like happened in the beginning of Powers of 10, right? Yeah, was it Powers of 10?
Powers of 10. No. It was
Was it House of X
Yep.
number 1?
Mhm.
So it goes back to that scene where they meet each other for the first time. And she's like, she knows a lot about him, right? And he's like, do we know each other? And she's like, yes. And she says, read my mind. And that's when he finds out that she's a mutant and her power is reincarnation, and that she's known, in each life, she's known Charles Xavier. And that's where it ends. And it comes up the timeline for Moira, and it's a long-ass timeline.
So is this the second of that series, or is this like a one-off to make sense to that series?
Okay, so
No, this is issue 2.
this is issue 2. The reading order is House of X 1, Powers of 10 2. House of X number 2, Powers of X number 3, House of X number 3. So you have to read both
Series.
both books for the whole story to make sense. If you just picked up House of X, you're going to be lost because it doesn't follow. You have to...
Can't see how that happens at all.
No. So, even though it was a little hard to follow, and it wasn't exactly... I had some questions too, I just was going to put it up to that. He'll explain it when he wants to explain it, because that's how he is. I'm going to give it... This one wasn't my favorite. I'll give it a 4.5. I do like that they made Moira a mutant, because I always thought she was a weak-ass character in the original run. So, that's what I got.
Cool. You want to go or you want me to go?
Yours seem more exciting, so I'll go.
Roll a d20.
Really?
Yeah,
All right. You can go.
trust me on this. All right. So I have a lot of comic books. And
No.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It's insane. And
I just to let you guys know, I have the least amount of comic books out of the three of us. And that's because I stopped collecting for a long ass time.
and so I log all of them in the CLZ app. It tracks what books you have, and so you kind of have an app on your phone that you can see.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Oh,
start,
I'm missing this, or I've got this. Right.
Do it fast.
I'm gonna pay for it and get it. So
You know why, right?
No.
Because if you have it right now, they're updating it pretty soon to like version 5, and then it's going to be a subscription service. But if you have it right now, you get in for free.
okay, I gotta pay the $15 then.
There it is. So definitely get this app. Anyhow, somehow my numbers got thrown off a little bit, so I'm like, I'm going to delete my whole library and rescan everything.
Oh my god.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Now, the benefit of this is I'm finding stuff I forgot I had, and like, you know what, I'm going to read it. And that's what I did this week. So the first one I grabbed was a book called Deadline by Marvel Comics, written by Roseman and drawn by Davis, Guy Davis, that is, not Alan Davis. And it is a story about a rookie reporter that works for the Bugle, who her job is to get like the gossip from the superheroes or the capes, and she hates doing this. So they show her talking to Johnny Storm about how he was seen flying in his helicopter with a brunette, and they're running by, or she's listing off all these popular people it could be. It makes the book very dated because it lists like Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera, and you know, like when they were in their prime. And so she's like, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this. Well, when she gets back to the Bugle, she finds this map on her table that says follow the marks, and there's like 3 X's on it. So what she found out was that there's going to be an opening on the crime team where she could start covering crime stuff, and she's really interested in doing that. So she's trying to figure out a story to run with. Well, she finds out that a cape is going around killing these other individuals, like these D-list characters that you'd hear on the D-Files or whatever we call it. And so she's looking into it. She stops at a local bar because she knows where all the hot spots are to go get gossip about people. And she sees this one guy and follows him out, and he attacks her. Well, all of a sudden, this Spectre from DC like creature shows up, all in white, black robe, and kills this guy that's attacking her. Well, it turns out that it is like the ghost of a judge that used to do superhero cases all the time, and he's kind of doing a retribution thing because he did something wrong previously, and that's where the first issue left off. I've got all 4 of them. I just read the first issue. It is very dated, but it was kind of fun. Just kind of looking back, the art's not great.
Alan Davis is Guy Davis is kind of hit and miss sometimes.
Yeah, I like the development of the character and everything, but I mean, this is not your standard superhero book. You're looking at it from a reporter's perspective type thing. You're not going to see the Spider-Mans or the Thors or anything like that, from what I remember of it. But is a decent read, and you probably can find it in the quarter bin.
Yeah, what's weird about that book is it came out at the same time as Alias did.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And so I was like, I'm going to pick Deadline up. I'm not going to pick up this Alias book. This Alias book looks stupid. And I pick up Deadline, and I'm like, God damn it, dude! Why didn't you just pick up all those Alias books? You like Brian Michael Bendis, right? You should probably pick up his book. Nope, I'm going to pick up this Deadline book.
It's a fun read. It's only four issues. I mean,
yeah.
Just remember it's kind of dated. You may have to use the Google machine to find out who some of these people are they're referring to. But yeah. So second book I read was Night Thrasher #1. Coming flying out of the pages of New Warriors.
Okay, I haven't read it yet, so you're going to have to let me know if I need to.
How much did you pay for it?
$1.
It's too much. That was too much.
That was too much. So you guys were talking about books. You're like, is this over yet? Page 2.
Nice.
The character, Night Thrasher's character is an interesting character to me. I love the costume design.
I love me some New Warriors. That's why I bought it.
It's got the 90s flashy foil cover. Him screaming right at you. First kick butt issue. Yeah, that was about the most excitement of anything in this book. So the New Warriors are taken by a Korean gang because they're trying to get to Night Thrasher for some reason. I can't remember what it was. And I actually just read this like right before we started recording. So that tells you how great this was. And one of the Korean guys ends up getting into a suit of armor that is almost an exact replica of Night Thrasher's, which was very hard to figure out who was who in the fight scenes. He ends up rescuing the New Warriors, but they still have a couple of New Warriors family members at a different location, and it ends with him vowing to go after them and saving his friend's family. If you find this for $0.25, pass. It was not good. I think I got it for free when there was a shop called Tenth Penny.
Tenpenny. Yep.
Tenpenny, yeah. And it was one of those deals where, you spent $10. Pick out a free comic book. Ooh, this is shiny. I'll get it. And I'm forever grateful that I did not spend anything on this. So, yeah. Nick?
You summed it up. I mean, I really liked the New Warriors at the time. I did not like him. Just as a character, I did not like him.
He had the potential of being such a cool character. Real awesome costume. I thought he looked really like badass. But
they could have just taken Rocket Racer and put him in that book.
Yeah.
I mean, you already have an established character who rides a skateboard, and he's cooler.
Sadly, yes.
The Rocket Racer is cooler than Night Thrasher.
Now, with Night Thrasher, honestly, the coolest thing about this is the cover. And
It's got a nice cover.
It does. So that's what I got.
So just leave it in my collection. Don't ever open it.
I think everybody should suffer through it at least once if you already own it.
All right, I'll give it a try.
Hunt down that series. You'll love it.
Oh yeah, no.
It should only cost you $1.
It's like the only good series of New Warriors is the very first one, and then it's downhill from there.
Was that the one that went into the whole what series, or what was the spinoff where was it Speedball went nuts and blew up everything?
Civil War.
That was Civil War.
Was that the same series?
No.
Or was that like a second series?
That was like third. I don't know how many series they're on, but the first one was...
Yeah.
It was the best one.
See, and I like the first series because I'm a big Namor guy. I love the Byron run at that time.
Namorita.
Yeah, because you got introduced to her in that book, and then you're like, oh, she's in this other team. I'm going to go check it out. And
yep.
So I kind of enjoyed it to an extent. But yeah, the spinoff that came off of this with Night Thrasher, absolutely not.
It had Nick's favorite version of Nova in it.
It did.
Kid Nova without any sleeves.
There was in our funny list, I forgot to put in that there was an issue of New Warriors where Vance Astro puts Speedball in a force bubble, in a telekinetic bubble.
Yes.
And he shakes him up.
Yeah.
And then he fires him at somebody.
Yep.
And when he's done banging off of things, he comes back and he's like, don't ever do that again. Don't ever do that again.
So, all right, Nick, what you got for us?
I thought I had some cash this week, but I guess I didn't. I picked up some books.
Picked up some books.
And
oops.
I picked up Sea of Stars #2.
Okay.
And Berserker Unbound #1.
Berserker.
Jason Aaron and Dennis Hallam on Sea of Stars. This book is amazing. It takes off from where the dad gets separated from his son, right? And it's the story of the dad. Like, why he's so protective of his son, why he's going to risk his life in the depths of space to go get that kid.
So you're saying I should have picked
And-
it up?
You didn't?
No.
And he thinks he's been a bad dad because he's never been around, and the kid has been growing up without him, and his wife dies, and then he has to take care of him. And this is the first time that they're really out and about doing stuff together, and just the lengths that he will go to save that kid, fighting giant space whales, killing monkeys all over space and eating them, and risking his life with no fuel in his jetpack to fly to another place where he can, there's a freighter that comes along and it's empty, and he has no fuel in his jetpack, and he has no oxygen anymore, but he's going to risk it to get to that freaking freighter.
Does he get there?
He does, but then it attacks him.
Oh, Jesus.
It's derelict and it's empty, but it's really
It's
not.
possessed.
There's a robot that flies around that's unauthorized presence and decompressing. No, don't decompress. There's crazy space plants that are carnivorous that are in there, and they'll try and eat him. And yeah, and then the sun is just flying around space I'm in space. And his dad's just kicking his ass to get back to that kid. It's great. I love this book.
Okay, I should have picked. I'm gonna pick it up this week.
I'm not going to give the ending, but
Okay.
yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
And then Berserker Unbound #1 by Jeff Lemire and Mike Deodato Jr. It's from Dark Horse, and I used to hate Mike Deodato's art, but he has evolved so much that him and a Barbarian book is probably the best match.
He's the one that does the Hellboy stuff, right?
No,
No.
that's I can see it in my brain. He did a Cosmic Odyssey from DC.
I got nothing.
Mike Mignola.
Nah, okay.
Ba-ding!
Nerd.
That art,
Nerd.
that art reminds me a little bit of his stuff.
Right.
That's why I was thinking that.
So this book is about a guy, a barbarian, who comes back from this long fight that he just wanted to go on, and comes back home, and his entire city has been destroyed. His wife and daughter are killed, and he finds their bodies, and then the people who attack the city attack him. There's a huge mob of them, and he just wails through them. This is like Conan meets He-Man, pretty much. But it's Conan meets He-Man meets
DuckTales.
John Carter. So if it was DuckTales,
I wanted to see Brian's face when I threw that out
that is a... If you want that, read the first issue of Howard the Duck. That's what that is.
Okay. This is a joke.
But it's real. It's Howard the Duck #1. So he fights these guys, big old bloody fight scene, and he decides, I'm not a warrior. I'm a coward. I need to run and save my life. And he runs into a cave. And guess what's in this cave?
A body.
Oh, no. It's Carter.
Well,
It's John
pretty much-
Carter.
it's petroglyphs that light up, and he's like, fuck it, I don't care. I'm just going to choose one, right? And he chooses one.
So it's kind of like Assassin's Creed.
Kind of, yeah. And he gets warped into the future, and he's in Central Park in New York City. So you have He-Man, Conan, John Carter in New York. It's actually pretty fun.
Any Battle Cat?
Not yet. I'm waiting for that. But if you like Conan, if you like He-Man and John Carter stories, people out of time, people out of...
Yes, and yes.
You'll like this book. The cover is by Mike Mignola.
That's why I was thinking it was him.
Yes, but the inside is so much better
Okay.
than the cover.
Okay. Because I'm like, that artwork, it looks exactly like Hellboy.
Yeah, but
Okay.
not inside.
All right. So that's why I was confused.
Next, we're going to do the list. This week's list was your top 10 what ifs or Elseworlds, which I didn't know what Elseworlds meant, so I just did what ifs. So I'll go first. My number 10 is what if Wolverine married Mariko. Number 9 was what if Silver Surfer possessed the Infinity Gauntlet. Number 8, what if Blink had not died. What if Venator, new character, copyright. What if Venom had possessed the Punisher? What if Phoenix had not died? Number 4 is what if X-Men lost Inferno? Number 3 was what if Wolverine led Alpha Flight? Number 2, what if Legion had killed Magneto? And number 1, what if Cable had destroyed the X-Men?
Good list.
Nice.
Yep.
So mine's not in any order.
Okay.
I can't decide what order to put these in.
You're just like, these are my favorites.
These are my favorites.
Go.
The Amalgam storyline from Marvel and DC.
Amazing.
When they mixed characters together. Doctor Strange Fate.
That one threw me off because I had no idea who Dr. Fate was when that first came out. I'm like,
Yeah.
so it's Doctor Strange.
Then you mix Batman and Daredevil, or Batman and Wolverine together.
Yeah. Dark Claw.
And Captain America and Superman.
Super Soldier.
And yeah, there was a lot. There was a Howard the Duck, and I can't remember what it is.
Let's see. Spider-Man and Superboy. There was Storm and Wonder Woman. There was Ghost Rider meshed up with somebody. I can't remember who that was. Magneto and the Metal Men.
Yep.
X Patrol, which is
X-Patrol.
like
Yep.
JLA. Or no, there's JLX, which is Justice League and X-Men,
Mhm.
I think.
X Patrol was Legion of Superheroes.
That's what it was.
Yep.
Yeah. And then Iron Lantern. Iron Man and Green Lantern.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Those are fun.
Batman Red Rain, Gotham by Gaslight, Green Lantern of the Tangent storyline, that one issue they did, Superman Red Sun, and then for the what ifs. Now I picked the ones that actually came true that they were prophesizing back then. What if somebody else besides Spider-Man was bitten by a radioactive spider?
What, you mean there's more than one Spider-Man?
What?
What?
Like Spider-Gwen, Miles Morales.
Spider-Ham?
He was bitten by a radioactive pig?
Spider-Man Noir?
Right. So that one has Colonel John Jameson getting bit, Flash Thompson, Betty Brant. Yeah, well, they all die. What if Jane Foster had found the hammer of Thor?
I wonder how that turns out.
I wonder how that goes.
Jason Aaron.
I can't. I
It only-
can't believe that you can be a woman.
It only took them 1978, so it took them almost 40 years to do this.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
what if Sergeant Fury had fought World War II in outer space? That one didn't come true, but it's just stupid, and it's awesome.
It's awesome.
What if Spider-Man's clone had lived?
Ben Reilly.
What if Elektra had lived? How many times has she died and come
She's
back now?
died. Well, that's Marvel's MO.
Yeah, those are mine.
Nice.
Cool.
All right. So I've got Batman. No particular order on these either. I had a hard time deciding. Batman Red Rain. Batman Gotham by Gaslight. Superman Last Family of Krypton. Superman Red Sun. Superman Batman World's Funniest. Justice League The Nail, which was amazing.
Yep.
And then Justice League Justice Riders, which takes place in the Old West. Love that one. Kingdom Come.
I forgot about the Kingdom Come.
So DC actually did one of their annual series where they're all nothing but Elseworlds titles. And my favorite of it, you guys are going to be shocked, Green Lantern, Annual 3, Ring of Evil.
No way. Green
Hal-
Lantern is your favorite?
Hal and Guy are Nazis, and Jon Stewart is leading the resistance against them.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
And so then I kind of went off the rails here a little bit because What Ifs, yeah, that's Marvel. Elseworlds is like an alternate version of stories that are happening in DC, but it's also just an alternate version of reality of what's out there. So I actually hopped over to an image book called Manifest Destiny. It is the telling of Lewis and Clark crossing the United States, finding a path. So is what they're telling everybody, but they're actually hunting down cryptos. So they run into Bigfoot and Manitars and fairies and stuff like that, and it just a different story
Was the
format. Of,
Minotaur's name Minty?
no.
Mincy.
So yeah, I kind of went off the rails a little bit on that. I didn't do any what ifs because I looked at all the what if titles. I'm like, true. These don't really live up. So moving on. So that's my list.
Cool. Anybody got anything else?
Saw one of the Wayans brothers wants to play the part of Plastic Man today.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Nerd
Huh.
boys freaking out.
I thought it could be entertaining.
Yeah. Why not?
No. God damn it, you can't have a woman Thor. You're not gonna have a black plastic man? Come on. I was reading something. People are bagging on Donny Cates for being corporate. And he's like, I get to work for the top company in the world. I get paid to be a writer. How am I a sellout? You know, I'm like, I wouldn't like to be like a famous artist or writer and have a Twitter page.
No.
I think I'd live completely off the grid. I would not interact with anybody.
So you'd be Alan Moore?
Pretty much.
He went off the grid for a little bit.
He did.
I'm
But he
just-
also went off the rails, too.
I feel bad for those guys, you know, because like Greg Capullo gets it, Scott Snyder gets it, Donny Cates gets it. It's just,
You ruined my favorite character. Nobody should evolve. It should be the same as it was in 1987.
I have no feedback for that at all.
I'm on Twitter too much because I'm trying to interact with people.
Yeah, that's probably your problem.
Have you tried to go to Starbucks? Just
Well, I'm trying to expand our Twitter
I got you. Okay.
following, so I need to start taking breaks. I'm gonna get too wrapped up in this shit. Why can't everybody just appreciate it for, you know, the new guy's take on a character?
It's always been like that, though.
Yeah.
Especially in the comics, you know. Oh, why is Hank Pym Yellowjacket now? This sucks. He's a horrible character. You ruined my favorite character. Even back in the 70s, you know.
No.
Probably
just
even
didn't
back.
hear about it because it was only in the letter column.
So the death of Jean Grey, Claremont and Byrne both got death threats for killing Jean.
Yeah.
So
So to clarify, this is just entertainment, people.
yeah,
It's people have to make a living,
it's true.
but think about all the things that you miss if you have that perspective on things. I mean, all the great books that you might have not picked up because somebody changed a character, and you know, if you take that perspective of it, you're missing a lot of good stuff out there. You got to give it a shot.
Yeah. I'm kicking myself in the ass because I really liked Valkyrie. And I'm like, Thor was probably just as good. And I'm kicking myself in the ass that I didn't pick it up.
You should.
Is it expensive yet?
Yes.
Yes.
There you
Trades.
go. I'm gonna, if I find a trade, I'm gonna get the trade for it.
I think the first issue is like $50.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I'll definitely be picking that up
Picking
in
the
trade.
and there's
Yep.
multiple trades. There's like different dresses. There's like hardcovers and there's special hardcovers,
Yeah.
and then there's just like the floppy.
Because I'm kicking myself because that sounds like it was awesome.
Yeah, it was really good for Thor. I'm not a Thor guy.
I'm not a Thor guy either, but I wanted.
That was really good.
So, all right, that's my little rant. I need to get off Twitter. There's a whole world outside, guys. Let's start going out every once in a while. Get away from our keyboards. That's my little thing. Anything else?
No, I got nothing.
All right. Have fun. Read more comics, guys. This has been Kirk.
Nick.
Ryan.
Yeah! See you guys next week.
Everybody knows he's a real star, but he didn't do the things on the class to see him. You know he just wasn't interested in his soul. Maybe I'm the smartest girl at school, not very popular, not very cool. Two kids will be chosen from Earth to go to school at Galaxy High. Traveling millions of miles through space to go to school in a farmhouse place. Maybe it's a sweetheart, but I'll tackle up to learn here at